Welcome into the Pool Genius NFL Week 5 Pick Show. My name is Spencer, and I am joined by the lead analyst over at Pool Genius, Jason Lisk. How you doing today, Jason?
I'm good. Got a fresh trim, a little fresh haircut for week 5. So I look less like a Civil War general. You got to let me know if you like the Civil War general look or, you like a little tighter cut.
Yeah, I mean we can throw that as a poll down in the comments section. See what the people like, and if you've been watching these videos, go ahead. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, comment. It really helps us out. Like, hey, I got a new microphone this week, so the higher ups here over at Pool Genius have noticed. They've taken notice to all the likes and subscriptions, and so I'm starting to get some official podcasting, YouTubing equipment here. So makes me feel a little more legitimate. I'm not going to show you guys this microphone because it has a button on it that if you just slightly press, it mutes it. So I am not touching this while we're recording at all. Already made that mistake, but that was just in practice. I think we got all the kinks worked out, and we're ready to dive into NFL Week 5. The first month is behind us, and we are ready to go here in October. And you know the drill. We're going to run through 5 value plays for game winner pools that we are seeing where the public pick percentage is deviating from the win odds. Then we're going to go into 3 upset picks that we have for this week, and then 2 of our favorite picks against the spread. So let's get into those game winner picks. The first one here, we have a really weird line that has bounced around a lot early in the week. It's the Houston Texans as a value pick at the Baltimore Ravens. Jason, as we all know, the Ravens will be without Lamar Jackson, among others. They have plenty of injuries. So I think do you remember where this line opened up? Because right now it's Houston favored by a couple. But the public, so we're giving Houston about 55% win odds, and the public's only picking them about 25 to 30%. Maybe that'll change as the week goes on and people wisen up and learn this information. I don't think it's going to change too much. I think we're still going to catch this as a value play in game winner pools.
Yeah, this is one of those when if you're playing in all but certain pools where everybody's locked in, you just take the value. Even if it's a little more popular than we project, you're still getting, I think, a fair amount of value. Where did it open? Well, this was like 9.5, 10 in look aheads before last weekend. It opened on Monday when they put out a number around 4.5 for the Ravens, which shocked me because not only, like, if you set aside Lamar's injury, this team was down like 7 defensive starters by the end of the Chiefs game. I'd say a fair number of which are not going to play this week. And so, and Houston looked better, right? So you have the Houston factor that would have already trimmed that line down to maybe an 8 based on how the team looked on their end. And then you had all the defensive injuries, which, whatever you think about the value of any particular defensive player, having like half your starters out is worth several points. So I thought the 4.5 was just like a more reasonable number if we knew Lamar was playing. But then you also were pretty certain he wasn't based on how that game ended, him coming out, the type of injury, him being a mobile quarterback. Lots of, like, basically read the tea leaf signs that this was going to be down closer to a pick 'em, if not more, when we got Lamar news. And that's where it's ended up.
Yeah, and it will be Cooper Rush, formerly of the Dallas Cowboys. He is now the backup quarterback for the Ravens, taking over there, as you mentioned. Also, a bunch of defensive injuries. And it's not like that Ravens defense was looking great to begin with. Now they got to contend with all those injuries. So Houston is our first value pick in game winner pools. The second one, we have the Seattle Seahawks favored by 3 or 3.5 at home against the Tampa Bay Bucks. Here we give them 66% win odds. Pick popularity is only around 40 to 42%. So yeah, it's another classic value favorite spot. So I would just take this in game winner pools and just move on to the next.
This is one of those name recognition, I think, because Tampa was in the playoffs last year and has been the last several years. But this Tampa team, if we're talking injuries, is a similar boat. I mean, now they're down Mike Evans. Now it looks like Bucky
Baby
Irving's
Bucky.
out. I mean, they've had offensive line injuries. This Tampa team has just been wrecked early in the season. They were getting through with those wins, but this team is not at full strength. Seattle, meanwhile, has looked good for 3 weeks straight. Now, have they slightly overperformed? Maybe. But I think because of Tampa's injuries, they are the better side and they are at home. And so you're seeing that reflected in the line now that it's pushed over a field goal. Once you get over a field goal, I think you've got to take, especially the public's going to be like doing what they're doing here. You have to take the favorite over a field goal when you're getting such value.
Yeah, and you have to remember that Seattle played on Thursday last week, so they have the rest advantage while you get Tampa just a brutal game against the Eagles, a physical game where they had so many injuries. Now they travel across the country to take on the Seahawks. So, good spot for Seattle there. Our third value favorite is, I mean, the people aren't going to like this one. I don't know if you're probably going to like this one because you're a little bit of a sicko, but
I am.
it's the New York Jets. They are catching some value here at home against the Dallas Cowboys. We have the spread right now, Jets plus 2.5 at home. We give them win odds around 47%. Pick popularity is all the way in the basement, in the cellar at 23%. So if you can stomach it, the Jets are a fine pick if you're trying to get a leg up on the public this week.
I mean, this is the pick you have to love, right?
I know
I
it's
know
the
you said
pick you love.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, in a lot of some contests like the big millions and some of those haven't locked their spread yet, so it's going to be close to this one. But this one actually opened with Dallas favored by more.
Yeah.
So we've seen that line movement go against what I would call public pick popularity. We'll see where people tweet out from the various betting accounts what the money is coming in the betting markets. But we're seeing in the spread pools, Dallas is way popular, and yet the line is moving the other way against a very public side in Dallas, a side without a defense, a side that yes, they scored 40. They also gave up 40 on Sunday, and they've been torched by the Bears. This is a defense that will keep every team in the game. And so Justin Fields not being the most refined passer, this is probably the ideal matchup for him, right? Because he doesn't have to like break down a great defense via the pass in this one. And so I do like the Jets as the underdog here, close to a toss-up. Our models love the Jets. And, with the public heavily on Dallas, got to go with Gang Green.
Yeah. And, I have a feeling we are not done talking about the Jets on this episode. A little bit of foreshadowing for our picks to come, but let's stick here with the value picks. Another one we have, the fourth of 5 value picks we have for week 5. We have the New Orleans Saints hosting the New York Giants. Saints are favored by 1. Just we give them around 53% win odds. Public pick popularity is around 34%. And you kind of, that logically makes sense, right? The Giants showed some signs of life. They beat a really good team in the Chargers. Some people are like, okay, this Jackson Dart movement is for real. They got some momentum. The Saints 0-4. They've looked lifeless at times this season. Although last week they put up a bit of a fight at the Bills. It was kind of surprising. They were pretty much in that game towards the end, even though they lost by 2 scores there. So what do you think of this one? We have it is a coin flip game. The public pick popularity is down at 34%. So I mean, I'm leaning towards the Saints, but like if you threw out the public pick popularity leverage anything, would you take the Saints at home here if you had to pick a side?
And it's been tough. I've actually been on the Giants. I think what you got going on here is this. Been on the Giants. The Saints have been plucky, right? They've certainly they're down near the bottom, and I think their overall talent
That's
what they've had with the
plucky,
roster.
not lucky, right?
Plucky.
Yes.
Like they played hard, they
Yes.
played well, they've put up fights. Like, right? They are the anti-Titans,
There you go.
which we may get to at some point.
It's
But,
great term.
in terms of coaching, I mean, what Kellen Moore's the coach there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, young coach, but they seem to be playing hard for him. And he's, I think, maximizing what he can do on an offense that has Spencer Rattler at quarterback. Um, Here's the thing: the Giants, yeah, they won, and so the public's going to react to that. They also lost a player that's probably worth, if you're going to take off quarterbacks, what players are worth a couple points to a team? I'd say Malik Neighbors, based on what else the Giants have on offense, his age and his potential to basically be one of the top 2 or 3 receivers in the league, is worth a couple points on their power rating. And so I think that's what you're seeing. I think the Giants would have been favored in this one if they didn't lose Neighbors to the knee injury last game. And now I think there's major question marks on how good this passing attack can be supporting a young quarterback who, yeah, he showed some scrambling ability, but it's not like he lit it up at all in the passing game. So I think you're getting that. And so given that factor, I do think this is closer to an even game. And then the Saints are at home, I would lean Saints.
Yeah, and then our last value pick here, we have the Carolina Panthers at home against the Miami Dolphins. Of course, the Miami played on Monday night and they won against the Jets, but they have an injury as well, a big one. Tyreek Hill is out for the rest of the year, maybe even part of next season. We'll see. So they're coming on short rest. They have to travel to Carolina Panthers. This spread right now is Miami -1. So basically a coin flip. We give the Panthers 49.5% win odds. So, yeah, that is basically a coin flip. Public pick popularity is 30% on the Dolphins. So, a little bit of leverage there, getting the Panthers at home. What do you see in this one?
Yeah, this is the one I have personally probably the most reaction to the other way.
It's tough.
I just don't like the Panthers. I think Miami's the better team. Even with Hill out, I do think Miami is kind of stabilized from their awful start where they've at least been better the last few weeks, and they still have Waddle and Darren Waller scored 2 touchdowns, by the way. What's up with that? Still
Gave
have a
up his
chain.
rap career.
Yeah, and so this Panthers team has been so bad. Like, I know they won 30-0 just 2 weeks ago, but it's not. They had like 120 passing yards that game. They got outgained.
It was fluke.
So that was the anomaly. Like, this has not been a good start for Bryce Young. I'm pretty much ready to write him off as a legitimate NFL quarterback. Like, well, they should be ready to move off if this continues for much longer. Like, it's bad. We'll see. I think they maybe get Coker back. I'm not sure the receiver. They've certainly had receiver depth issues. And so I'll probably be wrong because the value says take the Panthers because the public's against them. I just have a hard time with this Panthers team. That this line might be a little too optimistic about how close these two teams are to each other right now.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people listening to this to remember that you don't have to take all these value favorites. It's whatever makes sense for your pool, given the size in your pool and how far ahead or behind you are in the standings. So we actually have a tool that does all of that, does all the decision making for you based on all those factors. You go into Pool Genius, click on the football pick'em tab up there, and we have packages that you can input the size. You can input if it's against the spread, game winner pool, confidence pools, things like that, where you are in the standings, how many points you are behind the leader, what you're trying to do if you're just trying to place, or if you are trying to go for the number one spot. It'll take that all into consideration, all the percentages, public pick percentages, and win odds that we gave you through all the games, and it will give you the recommendations on who you should pick according to your unique situation. So go ahead, check that out. And now, are you ready to get into some upset picks here, Jason? I'm going to give you my favorite upset pick. You're going to relay your favorite upset pick here, and then we are going to grab one from our models over at BetIQ. And those are going to be the 3 that we are rolling with. So I'm going to give you mine first. And I have been betting against a certain team, and I am going to keep that trend this week, although I have a little bit of a not great feeling because the last time I took an opponent that was catching 3.5 points against the Philadelphia Eagles, it was the Rams, and we all know what happened in that game to screw up that cover. but I am taking the Denver Broncos on the road, catching 3.5 points at Philly. I'm just not sold on Philly. I fully acknowledge that they could turn things on any given week, but I'm just not seeing it so far. They rank 30th in yards per play, 29th in yards per rushing attempt. That is, I cannot fathom that. You have Jalen Hurts, you have Saquon Barkley, you have a good offensive line that was dominant last year, and 4 games into the season, you're 29th in yards per carry. Like that, I can't I don't know how this team is 4-0. Like, they're getting some turnover luck. They're getting all the right bounces. I don't think that's a sustainable way to win. Like I said, granted, they could turn it on, but I think the Broncos are a formidable opponent here. Quality defense. Bo Nix has a little bit of confidence after that Monday night performance. Maybe that's all he needs to step in back into his rookie form of last year, where he was really good. I like Denver plus 3.5, and I like a little sprinkle on the money line here.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking before we came on. The Eagles seem to have stolen the Chiefs like close game mojo at the end of games. But one thing about those Chiefs is typically they weren't covering anything over a field goal, and they would win games by a field goal. And so you are getting a key number there. And then the upset potential is, they haven't. Now, the tush push play is not going to generate a high yards per carry, but they've been doing that for the last several years, and their numbers haven't been where they are. So it's the rest of the offense that has gone down in the explosive play, outside of relying on the tush push for the short yardage conversions. And so they are making fewer plays. They are pushing the ball down the field. Their margin of error is smaller. This Denver team, if Nix can be on, has explosive potential. Obviously, that's been a big if. We saw him again through a red zone interception. They dominated that game against the Bengals even more than the score. I mean, it was just not close. Could easily be 4-0. Could easily be 4-0, kind of like the Eagles are if things had gone differently at the end of games. So I like that. My pick, we talked about it earlier. I'm going to go with the New York Jets against the Dallas Cowboys. They are a small favorite or small dog at this point. So you're basically, I think the better play is actually to play the money line, right? Get plus money rather than getting a push at 1 or something. If you get it at 1.5, is to find your best money line on this game, play it as an outright upset. It's not a big upset. That said, I like just my overview of Dallas this year is they're going to be a great team to play against when they are laying points or the favorite. And they are a decent underdog because of their passing game and their ability to put up points. But their ability to not keep people from putting up points is a detriment when you have a favorite role. And you leave everybody in the game, including a team that isn't the best passing team, but can hit big plays in the Jets. And so I think that what we're going to see is the Jets are able to hit some big plays in this game, running and passing against this defense, which makes them a very live dog. You get a desperate team, I think, going against a team that is coming off, quite frankly, maybe not as good as their record at this point, which is 1-2-1, right? And so, I mean, because they were not competitive in that Chicago game. They probably shouldn't have won the Giants game. And then I don't know what happened at the end of the first half against the Packers. Like, they only had 2 points, and the only 2 points were off a defensive 2-point return. And then things went crazy in that game. They scored 2 touchdowns at the end of the half, scored a bunch in the second half, and it tied in overtime. So I like catching the Cowboys when they're laying points, and that's going to be my default position this year. This is not a team that is equipped to be a good favorite in the favorites role. So
Not
I like
only
the Jets.
Yeah, not only that, and they're laying points on the road here, traveling across the country. So that is certainly one I am looking at as well. And for our model pick, what is our model pick here on the upset, Jason?
Yeah, looking at our current BetIQ top model pick, it's going to make you vomit in your mouth. They often do. The Tennessee Titans, the team that is 3-18 against the spread with the current coach, has only won 3 games outright with the current coach in the last year plus, in the last 21 games. But you have an Arizona team that has managed to bring bad teams back into games late. multiple times this year. We know from Survivor how much of a sweat they throw into you. This team is now not only down James Conner, but I just saw that they put Trey Benson on IR.
Yep.
So now they're running out something called, what is it? Mercado. And who's the other one they have? Is they have Gainwell? Is he the
No,
other one? No, Gainwell's a quick perk. I forget all the backups that have cycled through, but the Cardinals are basically like, you say what you want about the value of running backs. I think being down 2, including a veteran like Connor who was useful in the passing game, that had a big impact, I think, early in that last game. This Arizona team just isn't like consistently, like, they can lay eggs on offense. Kyler can be off in hitting his receivers. His receivers can be off. There are pathways to this being an ugly victory for the Titans. So our model likes the Titans as a long shot. Now, granted, when you play the money line, you're playing, the relative value. And it looks like right now you can get Tennessee at plus 327 or so, depending on the book, which basically means you got to think they have a better than 25% chance to be profitable. And that's probably the case in this one. The other one that our models like, by the way, Cleveland across the pond in Minnesota, the first start for.
I did have that game. I was considering that game for upset picks, but there's just so much variance with that.
There's so much going on in that game. Yeah.
I fully acknowledge the Vikings offensive line concerns, all those injuries up front, and then you have Carson Wentz at quarterback, and Van Ginkel out, I believe, on defense, or at least highly questionable to play. But I can't get on board with Cleveland, Dillon Gabriel going overseas in his first start against Brian Flores' coach defense. I think like that is such a tall task for a rookie that I'm probably just going to sit back and watch this one and not have a wager, even though I am tempted by the underdog.
Over under for this game. How many think pieces are we going to get about Shadur Sanders not starting instead of Gabriel?
Well, did you see his quote unquote interview? You didn't see this?
No, I did not.
Oh my gosh.
I've been deep into the Survivor weeds.
Yeah. So. How do I even describe this to you? He was pretending to talk. It was like he was on mute because he said he had things to say about him being demoted to or staying at the third quarterback on the depth chart and Dillon Gabriel getting promoted. And then the interviewer said, "Okay, what are you going to say?" And he goes, "Yeah." And that was the whole clip.
That he's like a wide receiver. That's like the wide receiver meme.
Well, I mean, he's Prime's kid. Like,
yeah. So, here's what I'll say. I watched preseason. I don't know how Dillon Gabriel will work out. Dillon Gabriel is the more polished and actually the better quarterback in the preseason games than Sanders. Sanders has some pocket awareness issues that I think would creep up. I would be more likely to like the Vikings if they were to start Sanders because I think the Vikings would get pressure on him. Whereas I think Gabriel may be able to handle it, but I'm not 100% sure. But I think Brian Flores would eat up Sanders with his. He had high sack rates in college. He holds the ball. He doesn't, I think, climb the pocket as well as he should yet. Hopefully he can address that. I think Gabriel's a little more equipped, but still a first-time starter going against Brian Flores, which is risky.
Yeah. So let's get to our spread picks. I have one. You have one. I am going to throw mine out first. It's a team we already talked about in the value pick section. We talked about them as a game winner value. I like them against the spread too. It's the Seattle Seahawks for all the reasons that we listed against the Tampa Bay Bucks. A sort of lucky, not plucky, a lucky Tampa Bay Bucks squad that has been on the favorable side of several outcomes that they really could have lost. You're talking week 1 against Atlanta. You're talking week 2 against Houston. I know Baker Mayfield has some magic. He's got that dog in him. He can lead those game-winning drives in those tough situations. He's done it several times last year. And now this season, now he's down several weapons. And it's going to be a lot harder for him to do it again. That defense is banged up too. Seattle, extra rest at home. Last I saw before we started recording here on Wednesday afternoon, there was a Seattle -3 out there at DraftKings, I believe. -118 was the juice. I love that if it's still there. If not, I still believe you can take the -3.5 and feel reasonably good about it. That is my spread pick for week 5. What do you have, Jason?
Yeah, so I have the game I like is the Patriots at the Bills. Now, this is one where you might see different numbers in the market. In fact, I'm seeing some nines show up for us now. But I think what you're seeing there is the influence of the teaser markets, because that 7.5 to 9 range is one where a lot of the books will change depending on how much teaser they're actually like. If they're getting a lot of Bills -1.5 teaser action, they'll raise that number some. And so look at your book and see if you can get the best number you can, because it's a lot of eights. There might be a 7.5. There might be a 9. If you can get the 9, get the 9 above one score with a 2-point conversion. But I like the Patriots, and here's some of the reasons why. Um, I think this is a series where just generally these types of series have low home field advantage in division matchups. And we see that in the Bills Jets in particular. Since 2001, I believe the road team is 29-18-2 against the spread in this series. So you're getting a situation where the road team probably outperforms because there is limited home field advantage in these series played between two teams from the same time zone within a few hundred miles of each other, similar climates, no travel disadvantage, no time zone disadvantage, and used to playing there. Like it's going to feel a lot like practicing outdoors all week long, no matter what the temperature is in Buffalo, for the folks from New England. So that's one factor. Uh, and I've studied this. This goes beyond this series. Like I've done it with the Green Bay, Chicago, with Washington, Philly. All those series show limited home field advantage, so you generally want to be on the road side, especially when catching a lot of points. Bills haven't been favored over the Pats much in their history recently because of the Tom Brady factor, but they are only 2-5 against the spread when favored by more than a field goal at home in the span I talked about. So it hasn't happened often. But even with Josh Allen, they haven't like consistently covered against the Pats when laying numbers. And so I think I like this game to be competitive, and I like having the number above a touchdown. And so I like the way the Pats have looked on offense in recent weeks. They've got Christian Gonzalez back on defense. The Bills defense it hasn't been dominating. So I think the Pats can move the ball. So I think you basically have a live dog situation where either they can be competitive all game or they can backdoor cover against the Bills in this game.
Yeah, I like that for all the reasons you laid out, and that is the Sunday night game here on week 5. So that wraps it up. Those are our value plays, our picks against the spread, and our upset picks that we like for NFL week 5. Go ahead, follow us at Pool Genius over on X. You can get updates all week long, NFL Survivor, Pick'em, against the spread, betting trends, everything like that. And of course, remember to like and subscribe on this video. We definitely appreciate it. And good luck in your picks for week 5.